Hello, EKN Nation. Welcome to another episode of This Week in Karting. It is episode 61. We are recording this live on March 27th, 2023. It is a happy Monday after what was a chaotic NCAA March Madness weekend. And also one for racing as well, too, with a number of events going on across the country. I am David Cole, joined by Nate Dean, as we bring you all the major news that has hit the EKN homepage over the past couple of weeks now. Again, perfect for listening on the way to work, coming home, ideal for your morning or afternoon commute, or while you're in the kart shop or the garage or heading to the actual racetrack itself. You can download this in a podcast version. You can listen to it on the EKN Radio Network when it becomes live. And again, all the great shows that we've done in the past. Excuse me. And again, we're into episode 61. So it's been a number of broadcasts and shows that we've been able to do. And this one is presented by Factory Karts. Made in the USA, it's not just a statement, it's the mission at Factory Karts of America. Led by four-time Super Nationals champion Billy Musgrave, Factory Karts manufactures their frames completely in-house at their Riverside, California facility. Built and designed from the ground up specifically for American karting market, Factory Karts brings new innovations and solutions that are long overdue. Contact Factory Karts today to join the American-made movement. Learn more by visiting factorykarts.com or email Billy at any time at info@factorykarts.com. So, Nate, as I said, we are a few weeks past our last episode, which was episode 60 on March 1st, 2023. I had back-to-back track weekends where I was at Challenge of the Americas, followed up by United States Pro Kart Series, and essentially taken the last, 14 days to kind of regroup and reassess where we're at and get caught up on all the crazy things. So it's been kind of a busy month of March. You've been kind of itching to get out of the winter cold that is Minnesota.
Yeah, hoping to get out of that soon. Going down to SCUSA this weekend for the first round of the Pro Tour, so looking forward to that. But yeah, I mean, it was just over in Wisconsin this weekend, and all their snow is completely gone, and it's starting to look more like spring over there. And then we come back to Minnesota, and it's just feet upon feet of snow. So can't wait to get out of that.
We had a nice dusting last night, so we woke up to snow-covered grass this morning, and my son's about to have his first baseball game, high school baseball game. So it'll be an interesting day. Thankfully, the sun's out, and it's going to get closer to the 50-degree mark, hopefully by the time first pitch. So it'll be at least a little bit warmer than snowy conditions than when it was forecasted. So good. Hopefully that'll be the last of it. I mean, we're getting into April now. I don't think we need any more snow up in this area, and certainly you don't as well.
Yeah, definitely not.
So you mentioned Superkarts USA. Well, some big news, probably the biggest news over the last 4 weeks of within our sport, involves Superkarts USA and the United States Pro Kart Series. They are working together with Koyan Media and the new North American Kart License Program for national top-level American sprint karting in 2024. Nate, this is kind of a something we saw was on the horizon last year when people were talking about developing a licensing program. Well, Tim Koyan of Koyan Media has kind of stepped up, and he has kind of laid the initial groundwork for this North American Kart license.
Yeah, obviously some big news in terms of karting, some of the biggest we've seen in the past year or so. They are putting down some what they want to do with this, obviously providing a clear path for young drivers to attain the necessary experience to safely compete at the highest levels of American karting. Also saying that they want to improve racecraft and reduce avoidable contact and incidents by tracking and limiting driver penalties. Too much penalty points on a license will restrict a driver from entering races. And then also Rock Cup USA and NKA were stars, as a lot of us know them, were also asked about this joining.
Yeah, it's a interesting thing because, again, when we look in the past I'm kind of going to go into a long segment here. in the past, we had International Karting Federation, the IKF, which was a West Coast based organization. They primarily were the national organization until WK was created in the 70s and essentially split our country in half. We've had some other small programs, build their own organizations. You have CART, you have others that have, developed licensed programs. Essentially, a licensed program was just, hey, either you're qualified or you're not qualified. And that's essentially what a karting license was, aside from, the FIA license, which allows you to compete internationally at international recognized events. So, now we've had, SCUSA has their own license. United States Pro Kart Series has their own license. National Karting Alliance, I'm assuming they have their own license as well. I don't believe you have to have a membership to do Rock Cup USA. I could be wrong, but I'm not a racer, so I don't typically look at that because I don't enter. So it's not something that really comes up. So I don't recall them having a license, however. So it's a unique situation. And again, I'm just going to go at my viewpoint of this, looking at the number one point, a clear path for young drivers to attain the necessary experience to safely compete at the highest levels of American karting. Well, in order to do that, shouldn't we be licensing the entire country? And that's really where it needs to begin with in terms of, for this goal, at least number one goal, to, say, hey, okay, yes, you have the necessary experience to come race Superkarts USA or to come race United States Pro Kart Series because you have shown at the licensed events that we have on calendar at your club or this regional, say Route 66, that's a regional program. If you've raced there and you've performed well, you don't have any points against you, you have the opportunity to move up. And that's essentially what we've been preaching about for many years, is that's kind of where it should be and what it should be. But in reality, new people can go and race Superkarts USA and United States Pro Kart Series without any experience whatsoever. And so that's kind of, at least for number one point, that's where I struggle. And I hope, we're gonna be talking with Tim Coyan very soon about this and trying to learn more. But I think in order for that to actually work, you need to have the support of the clubs and regionals and actually have a true national licensing system in order for that point to work with. So Nate, let's just talk about point one. What are your viewpoints and thoughts on that specific point itself?
I mean, yeah, obviously, if you're going to create this, you're going to want to provide that path for them. And I don't know. I don't have too many insights into each individual point. Just overall, for me, it's, if it is going to work and if it does provide, of course, those points that they are putting into it, then I don't think people will have too much of an issue paying up for that if it cleans up the racing. It's gonna be a big challenge ahead, and I think the end goal of trying to get all racing series licensed and all drivers licensed is obviously the end goal, but starting off small might be the way to go right now.
Right. Yeah. That's obviously the long-term goal for number one, I think. But and you kind of touched on two, improving racecraft. I mean, obviously that's the main issue with this situation. And it all stemmed from such, events that happened in June and of 2022 and a little bit earlier before that. And almost to have repercussions. Again, for doing something at one event, you have repercussions to any other event that you attend that is part of this licensing program. So that's essentially what, North American Kart License Program will do for United States Pro Kart Series and Superkarts USA. Now, again, this doesn't stop somebody who can go to USBKS and SCUSA, demolish everybody, and then go race somewhere else because they're not part of this licensing program. So that's obviously one flaw of this, but it is at least a great measuring stick in terms of ranking drivers based upon the penalties they receive at every event. Now, again, we're going to talk with Tim Coyne about it. I mean, really, are pushback bumpers a penalty, or is it just that's because pushback bumper penalties, I don't think, in my opinion, should be counted against your license. I think it can be recorded, but I don't think there should be points going up against it, because again, you can get a pushback bumper from hitting the curb, or because you got into a turn one pileup that had nothing to do with that was not your fault, but you're still getting the penalty because pushback bumper was initiated. So there's still a lot of questions regarding this. There's also a $150 licensing fee per year. What is that licensing fee going towards? Is it eliminating the SuperCarts USA and USPKS licensings themselves? There's still a lot of questions to be answered, and hopefully we'll be able to sit down with Tim Coyne to kind of learn more, because again, this is something that's going to be instituted in 2024, not yet this season. So still time to get the details and kind of go through it with a fine comb and understand exactly what's going to happen, how much are points, are penalties, and et cetera, and all of this stuff. So I do agree with you on the fact that hopefully this does improve racecraft, because again, it's having not the word responsibility, but and not necessarily repercussions, but I'm trying to find another word for accountability. That's the word I'm looking for. For your actions on the racetrack, because again, and then again, long term, I'd like to see race teams licensed. I'd like to see the officials licensed, because again, that's the other side of the situation, Nate, is it doesn't matter what penalties are called, it's who's calling them. Like, should these officials be officials? Like, that's another long and grueling discussion, Nate, about our sport, and especially at the national level.
Yeah, I definitely think so. There's been a few times, at least in my racing career, where there are either race directors or other officials within the series that haven't ever raced before and don't really know some things from a racer's perspective. And I think that's important to have. I do agree and like the idea of having those officials licensed, just as if you're going to hold the racers accountable, you're going to hold those officials accountable. I think for the most part, all of them do a pretty bang up job on it, but obviously just keeping them accountable is a big thing.
Well, again, it's the job nobody wants.
Yep.
It's a very difficult job to be the judge and jury out on the racetrack. But again, it's funny because I saw, as soon as after this came out, I saw a video online. I'm not sure if you saw this. I know you're a big IMSA guy, but Marshall Pruitt had an interview with John Doonan of IMSA at Sebring. And they were talking about working with the SCCA and how that is how they get their corner workers, grid marshals, et cetera. And a lot of their people that actually work the racetracks, and a lot of them are volunteers. And so that, again, I think that proves my point in terms of needing to have a licensing program for officials, and somehow working with either for karting ourselves, working with SCCA or USAC or somebody else that can help license and teach licensed individuals how to be officials. Because again, there's you look at it at this event or this program, and they call certain things certain ways. Well, you look at this event and these officials over here, and they call it completely different, or they view it a different way. And again, if you have two programs such as United States Pro Kart Series and SuperCarts USA, looking at this release, the penalties, how they're called, is going to be completely separate from one another, but those points still add up onto the license. So again, it's kind of a partnership, but it's not a partnership. If you kind of get what I'm saying, Nate, I don't know if you see what I'm saying. Again, I'm looking long term. I've been in this sport my entire life. I see things differently than maybe some others that have just gotten into the sport. So I'm looking at a long-term goal to where 20 years from now, we have almost a unity of the sport under an umbrella. Like, that's my ultimate goal. And it's kind of been my ultimate goal for the last decade. Even when I was a WKA board member, was trying to find a way to get this sport under an umbrella that we're all working together instead of all working against one another. So again, there's a lot to be said for, at least from in my point of view. I don't know about you. Like you said, you're just more interested more in the racecraft side of things.
Yeah, and I think ultimately this is going to come down to 5 years from now when we look back on this thinking, was this a good idea? Were we kind of a bit too harsh on it at first? And ultimately, if it works
Right.
a few years from now, then that's all that matters.
Yeah, it can be the catalyst to what I'm looking at long term, and what my hope is. It's like, I have a dream for karting speech, but not in that type of scenario. But it just, this could be the catalyst to help steer it in the correct direction. I hope it does, and again, that's my ultimate hope, is that this helps steers it in that direction, and we kind of have a little bit of a unity within the sport here in the United States. Again, it's a unique element because we're not Europe. It's completely different from what we do here than over there. And we're geographically a lot larger than Europe is itself. So again, hopefully this will be a catalyst to a more positive role and positive direction for the sport. So again, like you said, it's kind of a wait and see. Maybe we'll see where we're at in 5 years. So I guess 2028, we'll have to have this conversation again and see where we're at. But for now, we'll head into our first commercial break on This Week in Karting, and we'll kind of get into some more topics and news items surrounding the sport after these commercials.
You want the best, you just gotta roll with the best. Streeter Superstands. This is Jeff Wessel from StreeterSuperstands.com. You wouldn't put subpar parts on your racing cart, so why put that cherished ride of yours on anything but karting's #1 lifts and stands, Streeter Superstands. Streeter is the original and genuine manufacturer of the second-to-none Bigfoot rolling stands, stackers, uprights, and industry-leading Superlift. We also manufacture and sell the largest and always growing roster of trailer and shop accessories like tire, engine and jug racks, cabinets, spray can trays, bead breakers, and tons more to outfit any size trailer, team, and budget. Streeter Superstands has over 30 continuous years of experience. We're kart racers just like you and know that the Streeter name represents the absolute best in stands, lifts, and accessories for karting enthusiasts worldwide. Durability, affordability, unmatched quality, and customer service, that's what sets us apart from the rest. Check us out now at StreeterSuperstands.com. Roll with the best, StreeterSuperstands.com.
Run by the racers, for the racers. The Pad Holder Super Cup Series is gearing up for an exciting 2023 season, both in sprint and road racing. Make sure you're a part of either championship program promoted by the Northwest Karting Association, one of the longest standing organizations in the Pacific Northwest. The sprint program features 5 race weekends, which begins in April at the Tri-City Kart Club outside Richland, Washington, and wraps up at the Sumas International Motorsports Academy just south of the Canadian border on the first weekend of August. You can quench your need for speed with the Pad Holder Super Cup Road Racing Series, which opens the 2023 season on the March 31st to April 1st weekend at Pacific Raceway. The series then visits Ridge Motorsports Park on June 3rd and 4th. 2 weeks later, the third stop of the 2023 schedule takes competitors to Oregon Raceway Park. The annual visit to the Portland International Raceway is set for the July 28-29 weekend, and the series finale is scheduled for September 29th and 30th, bringing things full circle at Pacific Raceway. Head over to padholdersupercup.com to learn more about racing against the best in the Pacific Northwest. In racing, experience is priceless. Franklin Motorsports is a leader in the karting industry with over 50 years of combined karting experience, and we can provide you with everything you need to go racing. With a large online product selection, select track support events, and a wide variety of shop services, Franklin Motorsports is your complete karting source. Check out our online store at www.franklinkart.com, where all our products are just a mouse click away. We're constantly adding to the growing product selection on the online store, and we ship daily to ensure products get to you quickly. We specialize in IAME engines, tilt seats, ceramic products, driveline branded products, Briggs & Stratton engines, OTK products, and of course, the championship winning Merlin chassis. In our online store, you'll find a variety of items to fill your karting needs. Franklin Motorsports is also known for our wide variety of services and is home to Innovative Engine Works by FMS, our in-house engine service department. Frame straightening, kart prep, and dyno testing are all services offered regularly at Franklin Motorsports. For all things karting, visit franklinkart.com.
Welcome back to segment number 2 of This Week in Karting, episode 61. It is March 27th, 2023. I'm David Cole, joined by Nate Dean as we bring you the news and notes surrounding the sport of karting. Among the industry news, KE Technology and OTK USA partner in the Americas. So a new partnership regarding a manufacturer of components working with OTK USA to help build a dealer network here in the Americas, Nate.
Yeah, obviously there's been a lot of convergence between brands, I think, just as an overall topic the past couple of years and months, just more and more teams, products, brands, drivers all working together. So not a lot to add to this one, but obviously good to see.
Yeah, KE Technology, they are a manufacturer of radiator, water pumps, and a variety of different accessories. So again, providing a new brand in terms of accessories here into the United States. They're actually manufactured, I think, in Italy. I was trying to pull up the information there. So again, yeah, it's they're manufactured in Italy. Again, radiators used by a number of the race teams in Europe. So again, getting a foothold here in the United States through the OTK USA dealer network. So again, we'll probably be seeing a lot more of the KE Technology components on a number of karts here in the United States and around the Americas. Next on our list is the World Karting Association Gold Cup has changed locations for their opener coming up here in April. Nate, a little more details on that.
Yeah, so the April 14th through 16th event moved from Whiteland to Newcastle Motorsports Park. Talked to Whiteland and Andy O'Gara more on the Route 66 side of things, trying to figure out track layouts, but does wrap back into this. It says weather forcing them to have delays at Whiteland. They have, I think, 1 or 2 final layers they need to put on the asphalt still, and it's just too cold for them to do that at the moment, so that forcing delays.
Yeah, the weather is not, as we talked about at the beginning of the show, it's not been kind to us here in the northern hemisphere of the USA, and especially Indiana. I think they've gotten a lot more snow and colder weather and wet weather than they typically do receive. So that's delayed things for their construction situation and expansion that they're have going on there. So again, the April 14th through 16th event moved from Whiteland Raceway Park to Newcastle Motorsports Park, just down the road about 30 minutes or an hour, somewhere around there, I think. So maybe 90 minutes, something like that. I can't remember exactly the distance between those two. But not a tough move for the WK Gold Cup program, but a good kind of working relationship there with Whiteland and Newcastle having each other's backs on that. Next, our final topic in this segment, the Ryan Norberg launches his new karting academy. So one of the top drivers in the country has basically his own kart school now, Nate.
Yeah, so Norberg Karting Academy, full name powered by Rotax, going to be based out of Orlando Kart Center, where SKUSA Pro Tour will be heading. An interesting one from Ryan and Rotax, a team up from that, him going over a few points throughout their statement, saying as they'll have kart sizes and classes for pretty much everyone within karting, saying he's not just going to focus on the pure speed aspect, but also mindset, which is really big in karting nowadays. Saying from Ryan, I also wanted to provide a space for the parents so they can be productive, while at the academy. I'm trying to make this enjoyable for everyone who attends. So should be a good lesson for anyone who decides to go from to that, getting instruction from Ryan Norberg. Can't really get much better than that. So it'll be cool to see coming in the next year or two what people will have to say about it.
Yeah, Ryan's called Orlando Kart Center his home since it was constructed. And when I was there for the United States Pro Kart Series, got to see where his new area for the karting academy is located. But the interesting thing, as you said, working from mini drivers all the way up to junior, senior, and masters categories, is that it's powered by Rotax. So that is a cool partnership to see Ryan Norberg working with the Rotax brand. Really, that and that's ironic because that was the first time Ryan Norberg was on the I guess international stage was when he was at the Rotax Grand Finals in 2013. He was basically a last minute entry due to a cancellation, was able to get in, I believe, in the junior category, and was really kind of the first time I got to meet him. I know he had raced USPKS and other things like that earlier in the year, but never really got to know him. So that was kind of his breakout role. He's been to the Rotax Grand Finals, I think, a couple times now, but also at Miami International Final as well too. So, but yeah, cool to see the Rotax being the power plant of choice for that. So that's something that Race Rotax has really talked about. How again, since Rotax was created, how mechanically, how long lasting the engines are, and how less of a need for service is needed for those Rotax engines. So it's great for schools. I know a lot of other schools, not only here in the USA, but across the world, use that Rotax power for that. Now we'll head into our second commercial break, and we'll have a few more topics surrounding the sport after these commercials.
There is no other brand in karting more recognized across the globe than Rotax. Race Rotax is proud to provide the platform for Rotaxians to compete across the United States, from the grassroots level all the way to the Rotax US Trophy Final. The road to Bahrain begins with the US Trophy Series West and East programs. The West kicks off with the opening 2 rounds at the PKRA facility in Arizona this March, and wraps up at the Musselman Honda Circuit in Tucson on May 12th, 13th, and 14th. The East Series begins on June 16th to 18th at Pit Race, and is followed by an event at New Jersey Motorsports Park on August 11th to 13th. The road to Bahrain continues with the Rotax US Trophy Final, which is scheduled for September 15th to 17th at the famed Newcastle Motorsports Park in Newcastle, Indiana. Tickets to the 2023 Rotax Max Challenge Grand Finals in Bahrain on December 2nd and 9th will be presented that weekend, providing racers with the opportunity to compete at the Olympics of karting. Visit racerotax.com to learn more about each Trophy Series program and the Trophy Final event. Race Rotax, an experience like no other. Motor mounts. They keep your engine attached to your chassis, right? The answer is, they're much more important than that. Your motor mount is critical in transferring 100% of the power from your engine through to your tires and the racetrack. You need this to get on the podium each and every time you race. Odenthal Racing Products is here for you, providing the best motor mounts on the karting market today, all designed to make sure you're using all the horsepower you pay for. Odenthal Racing Products is a family-owned and operated business with decades of karting experience in providing products with unmatched quality and value for our racing community. The Pro Series mount for 2-cycle engines, which is available in 0, 5, and 8-degree inclinations, provides a rigid structure to help keep vibration to a minimum without adding too much weight to your setup. The 4-cycle Easy Set system is one of the most popular mounts for the Briggs & Stratton 206 power plant. Multiple mounting holes provide the most adjustability depending on your chassis and seat placement. To ensure a tight fit to your chassis, our ORP wedge clamps get the job done, and they feature a number of design updates to provide a lower profile and lighter weight. The clamps are available from 28mm to 32mm in both standard and Euro style sizes. And now, Odenthal has also revolutionized the karting industry with its new Easy GP camera mounting system. Designed to mount anywhere on your chassis, With 1 or 2 cameras, the ORP EasyGP camera mount is your solution to capture that onboard winning moment. Head to odenthalracing.com and find a dealer near you. Odenthal Racing Products, proudly made in the USA. Winning takes top quality equipment, flawless preparation, experienced coaching, and passion. And at Team GFC, we live our passion. Developed by American karting champion Gary Carlton, the GFC chassis has become one of the newest brands to reach the top of the podium in North America. GFC has garnered victories and championships at all levels of the sport since its debut at the end of 2018. Shifter car drivers are at the front of the field in the GT14 frame, with the SS31 a consistent contender in tag and 100cc competition. Team GFC has arrive and drive packages available for all categories, including the mini and micro classes utilizing the GFC RR5 cadet chassis. These young pilots have the opportunity to be part of the Team GFC Young Driver Development Program. Learn from one of the best American karters with 28 years racing at the highest levels in the sport, offering personalized training on and off the track. Follow GFC Karting on Facebook and Instagram, or click over to gfckarting.com to learn more about joining Team GFC. GFC, live your passion.
And welcome back to our third segment of This Week in Karting. We are recording episode 61. It is March 27, 2023. Nate Dean joining me, David Cole, here at the on the online studio for EKN as we continue this episode of This Week in Karting. We're going to talk a little bit about drivers right now and some moves that we saw prior to the United States Pro Kart Series. We didn't really get a chance to talk about them in a podcast, aside from the preview podcast outlaps that we did. But Alessandro Dutulio joins Prime Power Team for an extensive 2023 race program. So the Florida driver moving to the Burrell Art brand after his tenure with Parolin USA. Nate, it's kind of an interesting move for Alessandro.
Yeah, an interesting one. Didn't, from an outsider's perspective, didn't obviously see this one coming. He seemed fairly happy with Parolin and how he's been doing there, but switching brands over to Burrell for this season, has an extensive program lined up in front of him in the tag category. He's going to be running in Rock Senior, USPKS, SCUSA, Rock Cup USA, with PSL Karting, a few other championships along with that, including a hopeful bid at the Rock Vegas event and SCUSA Super Nationals at the end of the year.
Yeah, Prime Power Team based in Ontario, Canada. So he'll be racing at the MotoMaster Ron Fellows Championship, along with the Canadian National Championships, all in Canada, all in the Ontario, Montreal area. So again, working with the Prime Power Team. So he'll be kind of their lead driver moving through the 2023 season. And as you said, racing at Rock Cup USA, Rock Vegas, along with the Superkarts USA Super Nationals at the end of the year. So he got his first 2 events under his belt. The United States Pro Kart Series was among the quick drivers. He was actually back there with Ryan Norberg, having an issue in qualifying, had to start towards the back in the main event. However, finished 24th, but pulled off his first podium with Burrell Art brand, finishing 3rd at the Rock Cup USA Florida Winter Tour event. So gotten found his new home, started off on the right foot with his new home. Another driver, notable, making a move prior to the United States Pro Kart Series with Caleb Gaffera joining Trinity Karting Group and Kart Republic for what was the United States Pro Kart Series, and will be racing at the SCUSA Pro Tour. So, Nate, Caleb kind of got his first event under his belt after earning Superkarts USA and United States Pro Kart Series championships in 2022 in the junior ranks.
Yeah, so him and Hayden Jones, both former RPG teammates at Trinity Karting Group and Kart Republic for this season. Obviously, Trinity and Car Republic having a pretty good outing at the Super Nationals for X30 Senior, so that's probably prompted them a little bit to head and jump ship for them. Caleb had quite the season last year in junior. Obviously, him moving up to senior this year. Caleb had a season which we're seeing Ernesto Rivera doing currently, of pretty much utter dominance from that side of things. Had a rough weekend at USPKS, seems to be the theme for most drivers for that. Came 18th there, but will be racing this weekend at the Pro Tour.
Yeah, Evan Gilter winning for Trinity Karting Group and Kart Republic at the Super Nationals, so has helped. Really, they've been doing very well, and just recently this weekend, Joe Turney, as we saw at the SuperKarts USA Winter Series, do well. Picked up his first FIA European Championship victory on the year, racing in Valencia, Spain. And then again, as we said, we'll see Caleb under the TKG tent aboard the Kart Republic this weekend at the SCUSA Pro Tour Winter Nationals. Our final topic in this segment is the Extreme Rock Island Grand Prix, adding 3 new classes for the 2023 edition.
Yeah, so the event will take place from the 2nd and the 3rd of September, adding those 3 new classes like you mentioned. Briggs 206 Novice is one of them. You also have Rock Honda Shifter class within a class for the open shifters, and then Tag Senior also being added.
Yeah, the Rock Honda Shifter class, that'll be kind of like a class within a class. They'll be their own class, but it'll be running at the same time as the open shifter category. So it'll be interesting to see how that works and how much the participation is in that region of with that engine selection. The Briggs 206 Novice will hopefully get some more information. Again, they're talking about new people to the race. I'm wondering if that includes me. I've raced there, but I've never won, and I'm not a national driver. So I'm wondering if I can race the Briggs 206 Novice. So we'll see kind of how they police that as we get closer to the event. And then also bringing back Tag Senior. It's an interesting move. As we're seeing, tag racing across the country is not exactly on the increase. It's kind of on the decline. So to bring that back, obviously there's got to be a need. So we'll have to see what happens with that, and we'll see what kind of numbers we do get for that category coming back to the Rock Island Grand Prix, because at one time Tag Senior was one of those headline categories, bringing in probably 60 entries at one time to all compete for what I think it was 40 spots or 36 spots. I can't remember, because I missed it. I was in the LCQ back in 2006 and didn't make the main event. But so we'll wait and see on that, and we'll get more information when it's available from Rock Island Grand Prix and get that out to you in future This Week in Karting episodes. So with that, we'll head into our next break, and we'll have some information about what's on the ECAN homepage after this commercial break.
If you're a karter in the Lone Star State, make the jump from the club level and race against the best in the country at the Texas Sprint Racing Series. The premier regional kart racing series in Texas will be a 5-race program in 2023, featuring 4 different tracks located all over the state. This year's Texas Sprint Racing Series kicks off the season at the popular Speed Sports Racing Park in New Caney, Texas on March 24th to 26th. Racing Under the Lights returns in 2023, with the North Texas Kartways in Denton welcoming the series for night racing over the Memorial Day weekend on May 26 to 28. The third round of the TSRS travels to the Panhandle and the newly renamed Amarillo Kart Complex on the June 30, July 2nd weekend. A track new to the series hosts round 4, as Rimrock Raceway in Odessa is set to make history on August 4, 5, and 6. The series championships will be decided on the September 15th to 17th weekend, as the 5th and final round brings competitors back to the challenging Speed Sports facility in Houston. Details on the rules and class structure for the official SuperKarts USA and International Kart Federation Series can be found at TexasSprintSeries.com. Ready to step up your game? Joining the Rawlison Performance Group is the obvious choice to take your racing to the next level. Industry-leading driver development is provided by our staff of multi-time national champions, Super Nationals winners, and Team USA members. And at the same time, RPG continues to be a national-level powerhouse race team. Our goal is to help you raise your game and win races. We work with all age groups and are focused on developing those cadet and junior drivers who are ready to take the next step in their racing program. Rawlison Performance Group has set a new standard with our in-house engine program, AVP Engines, headed by Alex Vincent. AVP has become the benchmark in IAME competition. We have the largest OTK inventory that follows our race team, providing trackside parts at all the major events in North America. RPG also offers multilingual support with French, Spanish, and Portuguese-speaking staff. If you want to fight for championships or want to improve your skills and your chances to win, the answer is to call RPG at 503-260-4514. The Rawlison Performance Group. We race to win. The 2023 SuperKarts USA season is underway and making history as it heads into its fourth decade. A successful and record-setting SCUSA Winter Series began the season in Florida, welcoming over 250 entries in January. Join them for the series finale on February 10th to 12th at the AMR Homestead Miami Motorplex presented by MG Tires. That weekend will serve as the final spring training weekend before the 14th edition of the SuperKarts USA Pro Tour begins with the Winter Nationals, making its debut at the Orlando Kart Center on March 31st to April 2nd in Florida. The winter momentum will carry into a return to the Utah Motorsports Campus in Erta, Utah for the Spring Nationals, which are scheduled for June 9 to 11. The SCUSA Pro Tour wraps up with a 9th straight visit to the Newcastle Motorsports Park in Newcastle, Indiana for the 14th edition of the Summer Nationals, moved up this year to the July 28 to 30 weekend. You can get all the information you need to compete at any SuperKarts USA event or to learn more about their regional programs as well, all at superkartsusa.com.
And welcome back to the final segment here here on This Week in Karting. It is episode number 61, March 27th, 2023. I am David Cole, joined by Nate Dean as we begin our final segment of the show, kind of looking at what's been going on the home webpage of ekartingnews.com. A lot of editorial has been put out over the last 4 weeks since we last recorded a show, including trackside coverage from Challenge of the Americas from the PKRA facility in Phoenix, Arizona. We had the race report from Cup Karts North America Spring Nationals, which had a record turnout for that event. Nate, it was an event to remember for sure, with big numbers, but also a couple big winners as well. You were there trackside. You know, what kind of stood out from that event after almost 3 weeks after that race?
Yeah, obviously big numbers for that event. It's nice to see that event and Cup Karts continue to grow. Same with the 206 engine package. Doesn't seem to be any loss of momentum there. Had some fairly good racing for the on-track side of things. A little issues here and there with just other aspects, but that's to be expected with a event of this size. But overall, a really good event. A lot of good positivity coming from that.
Yeah, that's their second major event of the season. They had the Winter Nationals in January back in at the Jacksonville, Florida at the 103rd Street Sports Complex. And then they'll be getting into, they're going to have a busy summer. That's for sure. They have the Northeast event coming up. This weekend is, I think, the finale for the South Division. They're at Monticello in Florida. So they also have the North Division starting up, I believe, in April, along with other events, or the Cup Karts North America, Canada as well too. So basically 4 regions going on all season long, and then they'll wrap it up with the Grand Nationals later this year, and we'll obviously have full trackside coverage from that event. I was able to do a one-on-one with Mark Coates of the United States Pro Kart Series to kind of get his thoughts going into the 11th season of that program, with the number of changes, including format changes and the addition of Pro Shifter. So be able to check that out. We also did a piece on Kartlift, who continues their support as the official kart stand for the United States Pro Kart Series. Trackside coverage, again, from the United States Pro Kart Series, Southern Grand Prix at Orlando Kart Center. So that's available for you as well. We did a quick article with Route 66 Sprint Series. They are committed to the Kid Kart program, which, again, we're starting to see the regional programs really focus around that. Nate, I think it's coming up on almost 50 days before we're trackside with Route 66 program.
Yeah, Thursday will be the 50-day mark until they are at Newcastle. Chris Kardashian, owner of the series, and the entire Route 66 staff just committing more to driver development more than anything, and having that Kid Kart category in the calendar is important to them, important to build those drivers at a regional level to move them on to USPKS and to SCUSA to have them ready for that challenge.
Exciting to hear and see more from that. We have a race report for California Pro Kart Challenge, along with the full race reports from the Rock Cup USA Florida Winter Tour in Orlando. Our latest driver diary from Preston Lambert, the WSK Supermaster Series, his second event with that program, and Sodi Kart Factory Team. And then rounding out our coverage or our editorial is the ECAN Driver of the Month for February 2023. Ernesto Rivera, again, earning Driver of the Month with a solid month of February, winning both at the SuperKarts USA Winter Series and the Florida Winter Tour. So a great way to begin his 2023 season. And of course, he's going to be in the running for March, winning both main events at the United States Pro Kart Series, Southern Grand Prix in the junior categories as well. So that month, the driver of the month is going to be tough to pick for the month of March, Nate.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously we don't usually do the same driver in the last, within a couple months of them winning it for the first time. But when you have a month that Rivera has had of just sheer and utter dominance across all categories and all series, it's really hard to pick against him. So yeah, like you said, I think he could be on for a bit of a Gafera 2022 season that we saw from him, if not more dominant with how good he's been looking. The likes of Stephen Miller will be up there to challenge him, but I think it's going to be very difficult to take the trophy out of his hands.
Yeah, it will be. It'll be interesting to watch and see how that season progresses for Rivera. And if he is, in fact, able to pull off what Caleb Gafera was able to do last year. Again, ECAN podcast review. All the recent shows since our last episode. All podcasts available through iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Podbean, or any other podcast outlets, anywhere you get yours. Make sure you subscribe and give us a review on our ECAN Radio Network podcast channel. This Week in Karting episode 60 from March 1st is available, along with our ECAN debrief of the Challenge of the Americas from Phoenix. We have four face-to-face shows available for podcasts, but also available on our YouTube channel. So if you have time and you want to watch and see how our face-to-face shows were broadcasted live, we have one with Justin Stefani of Race Rotax, Brittany Lobaugh of the Texas Sprint Racing Series, which just kicked off this past weekend. A number of individuals from the Padholder Super Cup Series, including Mike Shorn, Aaron Stanford, and Cole Hager. And then our face-to-face with IKF Northern California Sprint Kart Series included Donald Durbin Jr., who is promoting the new regional program there in the IKF, what used to be IKF Region 11 area. Again, reaching parts of Oregon, Southern California, Northern California, and also Nevada as well. So we have those podcasts available, along with our debrief of the United States Pro Kart Series Southern Grand Prix. We'll be recording an episode. You guys are going to be recording episode 110 of our ECAN debrief here next week following your trip to Orlando this weekend. So that's going to be another mile marker there. ECAN Radio Network, again, upcoming shows to debut on the 24-hour, 7 days a week channel, only karting radio station in the world. Of course, this episode of This Week in Karting will be playing tomorrow on the ECAN Radio Network, which will be Tuesday, March 28th. But also tune in and watch or listen for rewinds and past live shows of the United States Pro Kart Series, Challenge of the Americas, and SCUSA Pro Tour as well. So, Nate, what's coming up here on ECAN? Coming up we got 3 trips basically over the next month.
Yeah, and finally getting to the last round of the Orlando Karting Center tour that we've been having to start things off. Great facility, but nice change of scenery. We're going to the SCUSA Pro Tour Winter Nationals this weekend, March 31st through April 12th. That will be the first round of the Pro Tour, kicking things off for SCUSA. The
April 2nd, actually. Not the 12th. I hope it's not the 12th. That's going to be a long Pro Tour Winter Nationals.
April 14th through the 16th, Challenge of the Americas is back at Sonoma Raceway at Sonoma, California for their next round. Also, Trackside 4, April 28th and the 30th, rounding out April at the USPKS event at Speed Sports in New Caney, Texas. That'll be, I believe, the first time that USPKS heads down to Texas, if I'm not mistaken.
It'll be the first time that United States Pro Kart Series will be in the state of Texas. It'll also be the first time the United States Pro Kart Series has been west of the Mississippi. Because again, all the major events that they've had have been on this side of the Mississippi. So that's the kind of interesting scenario of the event. Again, the most Western event for the program in 11 years. My first trip to Speed Sports, so that's kind of going to be an exciting trip. I can't wait to do that. And again, it's, we just saw Texas Sprint Racing Series have a big event there this past weekend, and hearing from United States Pro Kart Series that entries are going bananas right now, and Mini Swift is nearly sold out already after what, 3 days of registration being open. Their 46 spots are nearly filled up. So that's going to be a big one. I would expect to see probably close to record, well, not necessarily record numbers, but large numbers in the KA100 senior and junior categories, probably alongside with the Masters division as well, too. And then probably see an uptick in maybe Pro Shifter as well. Maybe we'll get over that 20 mark heading to Texas. There's a number of shifter kart drivers that are in the state of Texas, so I would anticipate to see them being part of that program. But first, I need to head to Sonoma and the Challenge of the Americas finale, as you said, April 14th to the 16th. Excited to wrap up that 16th season for that program. Always going to the picturesque Sonoma Raceway. It'll be awesome. My kids make fun of me for my last video I did there, so I won't even bring that up right now. But Nate, you get to get ready. You're leaving Thursday to head to Orlando again. Hopefully not for 14 days, and only for 5 days, including 3 very competitive days around the Orlando Kart Center. Because I think with the Pro Tour heading there, it's going to be probably one of the craziest winter nationals that they've had.
Yeah, definitely. And not a lot of people going into it without a ton of track knowledge, because we've had the Florida Winter Tour and USPKS there. People know the track. They understand it. They probably have a decent setup at this point too. So it should be the closest of the 3 weekends we've saw, hopefully. But yeah, definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's my thought going in, because I think it's going to be the most competitive weekend with, as you said, everybody having the previous race knowledge coming in. It's not necessarily a home track advantage anymore, because everybody's been camped there since the end of February. So it'll be interesting to see that as I'll be on vacation this week and weekend. So I'll be kind of glancing occasionally at my phone to kind of see what's going on and to see the great coverage that you and Rob will be providing all weekend long on our social media. So again, Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're even on LinkedIn and other places as well, YouTube as well too. So again, thank you for listening here on the ECAN Radio Network for episode 61 of This Week in Karting. Thank you, Nate, for joining me, David Cole, as we wrap up our 61st episode of This Week in Karting. Thank you for listening in.